Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Enablement Brew. I'm Carly Lehner.
And I'm Melvina Alsayak, and we're so excited you're joining us for yet another episode.
So, today we're going to talk about micro learning strategies.
Mm,
I think this is an important topic,
mm.
especially when working with sales. Um, but before we dive in, we always got to ask, what what are you drinking this morning?
All right, so you remember how we talked about like New Year's resolutions and, being in shape and starting to feel healthy? Well, I started. So I'm drinking a black coffee with sweetener. That's it.
Wow, nice.
So I'm eliminating dairy for now,
Oh, wow. Okay.
which is tough because I love dairy.
What about like oat milk or something?
So it curdles in my coffee.
Yeah, I know you have to find like a really good. I found the Oatly barista,
It's good.
like one is good, and like we have one of those Nespresso like foam Aerochino things,
Yes,
and
yes.
that's the one that foams the best of oat milk.
I might try it. I might try it, but now I'm just doing black, which is I've gotten used to it. But like in the middle of the day, I do enjoy like a creamy coffee. So I went on Amazon last night and I found I'm such a sucker for like all the different coffee creamers that they have in the States.
Mm,
And I found a
yeah,
Coffee Mate zero sugar hazelnut creamer, which has 15 calories per teaspoon. And I said, okay, I can do that. 15
you can
calories.
do that.
I can burn 15 calories when we record this episode?
Exactly. Yeah, just by typing,
Just by
you can burn
typing and
that.
talking, and I'll go like this.
Yeah,
Five
make sure you
calories
get
gone.
see how many if you can close your rings just by doing this. Yeah. Well, I love that. Well, good for you. I failed miserably on my New Year's resolutions, but I think I predicted that as well. So I'm drinking just black coffee. I'm
Oh,
on my
you are
second
as
Peloton.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm in my Harry and Meghan mug.
Have you
This is
made
like
use of your
vintage now.
Peloton bike?
Have I what?
Made use of your Peloton bike?
Yes, a couple times this month. Again, I think I said I want to work up to 3 days a week. I definitely haven't done that the last 2 weeks, but at Andela, we just created like a group called the Andelaton
Yeah.
Peloton group, and so I I have to like show up and actually show that I work out. There are some people's workout routines on there. I'm like, how do they work out so
It's
much?
finding the time, right? And I know shouldn't be an excuse. And if you talk to any like life coach, they'll say time is not an excuse. It's just an excuse you give yourself. But I don't have the time.
Definitely not. No. Well, let's get to micro learning strategies. So, Malvina, I'm curious to hear what sort of experience you have with micro learning. And uh, first of all, do you subscribe to the micro learning trend to begin with?
All right, so I think we have to take a step back and first talk about learning in general,
Yep.
especially within the commercial space when you're working with sellers who oftentimes will think they already have all the answers. They don't have time for training because they have a quota to hit, right? Or they have a target, or it's the end of the month. So a training is seen more as an inconvenience, right? So
Yes.
I think the first step is how can we change that mindset, right? Because even if you have micro learning, even if you have, something that takes you 10, 15 minutes, or even if it's something that you do by yourself in your spare time, if you don't have that mindset that this is going to help me get better, you can have the shortest sessions, the shortest meetings, the shortest reviews, great email threads that absolutely just go missed,
Yes.
right? Which I think every single enabler struggles with this, right? Because there comes a point where you're like, well, we want to do all these great things. We want to have these great training sessions in place. We want to have, micro learning or peer to peer learning or, something that maybe is self-paced. But then there comes a point where you're like, is it all worth it? Are people actually consuming it? You know?
Yeah.
And maybe this has been a question that I've been asking myself over the past few weeks, right? Because from our perspective, it's like, yes, it's great. We know that they need it. We know it's going to help them. But you don't necessarily always feel that coming back from the second side.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because this definitely depends on like the leaders I've worked with. So
Mhm.
I've had leaders who um, don't really like buy in to training that much. And the only thing that they've grasped is like the micro learning, like 5-minute video. And then I've had other leaders who are like, I don't care if this is 30 minutes, if this is an hour, like this is important. Everyone needs to do it.
Yeah.
So it, you definitely need to have some sort of leadership buy-in. And I know we talk about that with literally like every topic in enablement, but kind of sharing your approach to learning whatever it is with leadership to make sure that they're aligned with it can really help when you're struggling to get your audience to adopt it. One of the things I appreciate about my current boss is um, his whole approach is we will train you to do whatever you need to do. But after we train you, that is your responsibility to know how to do it and execute it the way you should be doing it. And so he really leans on enablement to build all of this training. And I have this really like black and white philosophy of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And so as an enablement team, if we show we have all of this content available, we've been we've been getting feedback from users who have completed it, you know, we've gotten buy-in from the stakeholders who are helping us build it, right? Like we're not obviously building in a vacuum and we know it should work. um, People who don't adopt, like that's on them, not necessarily enablement's fault. Now there is, I mean, that's pretty black and white. I recognize that. Some people would be like,
Mm.
well, enablement should build better content. But at the same time, like I could bring in like state of the art, best in class content and people still won't use it. So it's
What do
not
you think it
always,
boils down to? Does it boil down to just like with our, healthy lifestyle, time? Or do you think it's just laziness? I'm going to put it out there.
I think it depends, right? Like if I have a top seller who has 10 deals in their pipeline and they don't complete it, and I look at their calendar, I'm like, yeah, that's valid. Like I can see why they haven't probably made the 30 minutes for this because I can see how busy they are. But then there are the other people who it's like you have 3 deals you're working on and you have nothing in your calendar this week.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of laziness. So I do think it could be both. Um, and yeah, some people just see training as unnecessary.
It's an
Um,
inconvenience.
it's an inconvenience. Yeah. But it's also really funny how when people leave the organization and exit interviews, they'll be like, well, I was never trained on this and I was expected to do this. It's like, well, actually, you were trained or like you did have the resources. And so I just think it's an easy like way for
Yeah.
people to just like not engage. And then it's an easy like scapegoat if they're not
Mm.
performing well.
Who do you think the onus should be on for getting sellers to actually, follow through, do the material, go through it? Because on one hand, it can't just be enablement, right?
No.
We're quite powerless actually if it's just ourselves, on our own. Because if you have a revenue leader who's so focused on targets, quota, meetings, right? What's happening in that diary, and there's zero mention of learning, right? Like, how are we going to continue getting better? How are we going to continue growing? then the AE potentially just feels, well, that's not important because my boss isn't evaluating me on this. He's evaluating on me whether I close the deal this month.
Yeah. I mean, I think the answer is like leaders have to hold their teams accountable to this.
Yeah.
It can't just be enablement. Um, and enablement can do whatever we can to make it easy to consume learning experiences, which is why I really like a micro learning approach. But again, you could have the best training in the world, but if leaders aren't telling their teams this is important, then who cares, right?
Yeah. So what micro learning strategies have you seen very effective over throughout your experience?
Yeah. So at my previous company, I built a series called Knowledge Nibbles, literally like
Love
bite
it.
size learning. And my rule was it had to be 5 minutes or less, like could not be longer than that. And so we used it for a lot of like uh, deal reviews or deal spotlights where the seller would just spend 5 minutes like sharing the opportunity that they just won, that sort of thing. So that was really helpful. But then also, um, if I wanted to train the reps on something new, I would try and build it in a 5 minute video. And if I needed to compile a course with multiple 5 minute videos, fine. But consuming like 3 5 minute videos is a lot easier than sitting at your computer for 15 minutes watching one video. I don't know the science behind it. There's
Yeah.
definitely like some neuroscience in there. Um, but there's a little thing called like the Netflix effect. When you have those multiple videos, you just like, okay, yeah, I'll just watch the next one. Like it's 5 minutes, as opposed to like, oh my God, this thing is 30 minutes long. I'm going to like tune out after the first 8 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So I typically like to approach learning that way. And I try not to have a course be longer than 30 minutes because again, like people are busy, regardless if they're salespeople, if they're leaders, whoever, they're busy. And so I don't want to take up too much of their time. And just kind of cut to the chase, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are the key things that they need to know? And one of the other things that we're kind of looking at is um, doing like a university leveling system. So like a 100 level, a 200 level, a 300 level of a of a topic.
Yeah.
And so, hey, really quick, like this is what you need to know. Here are the basics, 100 level, and then get comfortable with that. And then a couple months later, we'll release 200 level. So you build upon your knowledge as opposed to like, let's teach everyone to be an expert right away, because that's not going to happen.
That's not,
So like when you
yeah.
look at micro learning, it could be the amount of time, it could be like how you're like sectioning things off. But I have found that to be pretty successful.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I
What
also
about
ask
you?
myself, yeah, I think short bite-sized videos are great, but not everyone learns through videos.
Correct. Yeah.
So now I'm almost heading in this direction of videos are great, but you need some sort of written collateral because I know personally, short attention span, right? I'm guilty of it. I sometimes prefer just to read through it rather than watch someone talk through it,
Yeah.
right? And then it's almost like having that library of that content. It's not going to take you, it's not like a 10-page doc because again, you scroll through it, you're like 10 pages, forget it, right? But if you can fit it on one page with the key bullet points, this is the objective, this is what we're covering, this is why we're talking about it, this is what you need to know, and you have that as a reference guide, then wherever you are in your career, you can always go back to it, right? And it could be a new product launch. It could be an update in, I don't know, contracts or how you make proposals, or it could be a change in the sales process, or a change in the handover process, or something about our buyer personas, our ICP, who we sell to. So I love the idea of videos. I have tried them in the past, but I always think, especially now, you need to have some written content to go with it because not everyone learns through watching videos, right?
Yeah.
Other people, for example, will learn better if they're, maybe shadowing someone. But then again, how can you ensure that the content is the same every single time that that happens? You can't. You can't really
Mhm.
control it. Um, so small videos, but also accompanied by some sort of a written doc. I think that's important, right? And we've all been in, in companies where you might have watched a video, but then you want a quick reference guide and you're like, "Ooh, I don't necessarily have anything like that. Watch the video." But I
Yeah.
don't want to rewatch the video. I want to just glance through it because maybe there was that one piece of gold dust in there that I want to utilize. So I
Yeah.
think definitely, having your resources in multiple formats, right? Like just with a podcast, you might have the audio recording. You want to take it to the next level, you're going to have the entire transcript. You want to take that to the next level, you're going to do a one pager on key takeaways.
Hmm.
You want to take that to the next level, you do a quick, knowledge check potentially at the end, right? Or some sort
Yeah.
of fun quiz. So it's almost thinking, how can you level it a little bit? So you're covering the wide range of how people learn.
Yeah. I think that's a really great point. And um, leveraging technology to help deliver those different medium is can be really helpful. So we use a tool called Speckit in Salesforce, especially. So we do a video of like how to do something in Salesforce, like how to add a quote line to a quote. But after you've watched that video once, like you probably just want like the step by step instructions. And so having a tool that sits wherever your team
Yeah.
works that can help. Here's the video if you need it. If it's your first time, here's the step by step if you just need a refresher. Um, I think that's an excellent point. It's probably the most effective way of
Yeah.
teaching someone something new, you know?
Yeah. And I recently have been using this tool called iorad.
Okay, tell me about it. I haven't heard of it.
So it does like click through tutorials. So for example, you can be on your sales screen, you just record the clicks,
Yep.
and based on that, it produces a short video, which is like a click through video. So you're actually kind of going next. It shows you where to click on the screen. There's a
Yeah.
brief description next to it. I love that and I want to utilize it more and more. I think it's very neat. Especially if, maybe you're using a learning management system or a content management system, and imagine it is Salesforce, but just that quick click through. Oh, click here, next, update this field, click next, you know,
Yep.
fill out this form, and finished, you're done.
Hmm.
So it does the clicks for you, but it also has a little transcript that you can edit manually on the side, and that's quite.
Nice.
Have
Yeah,
you
that
used
sounds really
something like that
helpful.
before?
I've used something, so Adobe Captivate is really good for that kind of stuff, but that's like e-learning development
Yeah.
types of tools, and it takes a long time to learn how to use those. So anything that can be easy to learn from like the enablement perspective, from the development perspective, I think is going to be super helpful. So I've done where like you record the system that the team operates in, and it's
Yeah.
like a training environment. Um, but it took hours and hours and hours to build it, super finicky. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear to look at this one more. Speckit does
This
that as well.
literally takes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes to do it. It's so
Okay,
easy.
yeah, I need to look at this.
Um, because that's another thing, right? Microlearning is great, but how long does it take you to put together?
Build it.
5 minutes. It's not
Yes.
5 minutes.
No. In fact, this was my favorite. This is like a horror story, I guess. So we were kind of redoing our Salesforce process. We were implementing CPQ. So I built this like amazing video, and I want to say it was like 8 minutes long, and it was all like animated, and it had people's pictures come in and out. And I had icons to show like this person's responsible for this and this person does this. And here, They decided to change the process after I had spent probably 8 hours worth of development time building that. And I
And
did
you
two
said
of
that
them,
was the
one for
last time.
SMB, one for enterprise. And I was like, this video is amazing, but I'm not going to build a new one because they decided to change the process after we went live. It was one of those things where it's like our big boss said, like, no, that this team should be responsible for this. Okay, so yeah,
And that was the last time you
cool.
developed that, right?
That was the last time that's the last time I've built a video. I got burned by that one. Yeah. I mean, my team builds videos, but that was the last time I did that type of video where it's not like a narrated PowerPoint deck. I like had built, it was full animation with
Oh, you must have
icons
been
and
so proud of
graphics.
it, Carly.
I was so excited. And yeah,
And that's the thing for
yeah,
enablers, right? That we have to bear in mind is if you're putting out content, you don't want to kill yourself. How much time is it going to take you to build it? And what's the return on it? So I am completely not opposed to taking snippets of Zoom meetings.
yeah,
I am not opposed to making, little click-through tutorials like that. I am not opposed to doing, one pagers because I think no one's going to know how much time goes into it. Does it still convey the same information you want them to have? Yes, perhaps it's not with, people appearing and animation and things happening in the background, but it still conveys the message. And that's the thing. If processes and tools and tech change, we have to go back and redo all
to
those.
do everything.
So
Yeah.
you have to think, well, how am I also going to maintain it? Because it's great putting out micro learning, but then the question is, how do I maintain it? And oftentimes that's not a question we ask ourselves.
No. In fact, we're going through this right now where all the Salesforce videos we created when we launched CPQ 4 months ago need to be updated because our processes have changed. So yeah, I'm kind of challenging my team of we probably shouldn't build videos for that. We should do click by click in-app walkthroughs,
Yeah.
um, which Speckit helps us with. And then the written instructions are a lot easier to update, obviously, than
Yeah.
redeveloping a video. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a big challenge. And I appreciate what you said about taking snippets of Zoom meetings. There is a difference from, like taking a Zoom meeting and like clipping it all up to make it like an easily consumable recording
Hmm.
than just like posting an hour long
Yeah.
Zoom recording, because there's a lot of fluff in there that someone who didn't initially join that conversation is probably not going to understand. They're not going to have the context. And it's also not a great learning experience.
Yeah.
So if you take the most important moments from those meetings, I think that's like,
Yeah.
a nice, easy shortcut for sure to building
I
some
don't know if
training.
Zoom has a built-in snipper clipper that you can shorten. They don't. So what I end up doing is which is time consuming, but for the videos that do have a lot of fluff, I will download them, drop them in Camtasia,
Yep.
delete the small talk in the beginning, delete the unnecessary section at the end, clip, save as a new video,
Yeah.
and then re-upload, right? Which also takes time because they're usually long videos, or snip into particular sections, which I've done as well.
Yeah. We do that as well. I kind of challenge my team of like, hey, I know this is an extra step, but let's think about our end user.
Yeah.
Um, just to like watch a recorded, you know,
Yeah.
webinar or training isn't the best
Yeah.
experience. So,
Here's an idea for Zoom, though, if anyone from Zoom is listening. If you had a tool in there that would allow you to snip the videos
mhm.
and then save them as separate little files, like you just mark the snippet, this is snippet one, snippet two, snippet three, that would be a
Yeah.
game changer.
Or like, yeah, bookmark or like whatever, like key
Bookmark,
topic.
yeah.
That's what I've seen some YouTube videos that are like that, where it's like, go to this and it's this
Yeah, how do they
question
do
or
that?
whatever. I don't know. We need to learn
I was
because
watching a makeup tutorial. I think it was about lip liners. Then I was scroll and it showed me which one they were talking about at that given point.
yeah, how cool is that?
That's
I
awesome.
actually was studying for my driving test here in the
Not as
UK,
fun.
the show me, tell me questions, and they had a video and it was like a little bookmark for every question. So I could just like skip to different ones. Like,
Amazing.
again, amazing.
Who do we need to contact to figure that out?
I don't know. I think I just need to Google it. No, I'm sure we could find the answer.
Oh my God.
Um,
But yeah, you see little, little things like that. They
they
make
make a
all the
big
difference.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably it for today. But thanks everyone for joining us for our chat on micro learning strategies. I think it all starts with, like to Malvina's point, getting buy-in from your leadership team and just kind of understanding how your team likes to learn. I think is the most important part. Um, and that will kind of help make your
Yeah.
training more successful in the long run, for sure.
Let us know what micro learning strategies you've implemented that have worked.
Yeah.
All
And
about
any new
learning.
tools you know about, because I just learned about one today. Yeah, any tools, please let us know. We definitely love to test them out and hear your feedback. So thanks everyone for tuning in today.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.